Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I feel a little bit like the Wizard of Oz with that big person on the screen next to me. It's a little intimidating. Thanks, everybody, for being here bright and early this morning. I'm J.B. Milliken. I'm the president of the University of Nebraska, and it is my pleasure to welcome you on the third and final day of this conference. I got back from out of the country yesterday in the afternoon and walked in here at about 2:30 and didn't know quite what to expect. Also, I'd been up for over 24 hours. But I walked in, and the energy in this room and the conversation was a tremendous pickup. It all of a sudden hit me that this idea has tremendous resonance, and I know that's why all of you are here from across Nebraska, but also across the country and from around the world. For some time we've been talking at the University of Nebraska about doing something considerably bigger than we had imagined before, about focusing on being part of designing and contributing to a healthy and vibrant and exciting rural future for Nebraska, for the Great Plains, and beyond. Kind of the next generation, I think, to the land grant tradition, the 21st century implementation of that. We had in place a rural initiative at Nebraska. Many of you are from universities that have similar efforts. It had done some great things, but there were some pieces missing. And so we brought in a group led by Sam Cordes, who's been a key part of this conference and in the working group leading up to it. And I appreciate the work that outside group did because it was a little bit of a wake-up call for us. They said, you've done some great things, and the people that you have put in place and charged to do the work have done everything they can do in this area. Can't fault that. What you need to think about now is how you bring to bear the leadership from the highest quarter to support this, to set forth a vision, to create a structure that will give this the life that it deserves and the attention that it deserves within the institution. And they told us that the vision needs to be probably bigger than it has been, that you need to think about a national leadership role in this area. It needs to be something bold and new. I couldn't agree more. The problem is I didn't have the slightest idea how to do that. But with changes comes opportunity, and shortly after that, Ronnie Green joined the university. In the interview, I told Ronnie that I had something I'd like him to think about, whether he'd be interested in taking this on, that this would be what I thought would be a truly bold and terrific thing for the new Vice President for Agriculture and Natural Resources. He embraced it. He brought energy and organization and vision to this, and for that, for Ronnie and his team, I'm very grateful. You know, we think about in other initiatives, whether it's an innovation campus that we're building on 250 acres next door, almost anything we do, we think that if it's big enough, it has to involve much more than the university. The university can be a catalyst, it can be a leverage point, but it has to involve the private sector, it has to involve the government, it has to involve NGOs, it has to involve all of our stakeholders, and we need to think about leadership in creating a rural future, I believe, in the same way. I think this is an appropriate role for public universities in the 21st century. In fact, I've given a fair amount of thought to what is it now that we're celebrating the 150th anniversary of the land-grant university this year? What is it that distinguishes land grants in the 21st century, and in fact all public universities for that matter? Are they just a public version of a private academy? I don't think so. And what I think that distinguishes public universities in the 21st century, what ought to, in the same way that land-grant universities helped create a new nation beginning in 1862, is how do we organize the tremendous resources that we have, the tremendous talent that we have, with the support that the public gives us around great challenges, around the challenges that face our states, our regions, our nations, and the globe. And this is one of the things we're trying to do at the University of Nebraska, whether it's the Global Institute on Water, whether it's food security challenges, whether it's disease eradication, whether it's early childhood development and education. And I think the same thing is true for being a part of the future of rural America and rural areas around the world. So when we've started these initiatives, this organization of our talent and resources around these big ideas, around the global challenges, we've asked a set of questions. The first one's, should we do this? Is there a need to do this? I don't think you would be here today if you didn't think that was the case here. The second is, in my mind, can the University of Nebraska, if it does the right things, be the home for this, be a place for leadership in this area nationally and globally? And I think it can be, and I think that I'm interested in what you all have to say, but I think you must think there's a chance of that, or you might not be here also. Then I think the next question, and part of what I think we ought to spend some time discussing today in this open space in a few minutes, is what's necessary to be successful? What's an appropriate vision, and what are the kinds of resources and disciplines and involvement that are necessary to make that happen? Several elements of this were included in the conference booklet that everyone received, and I think those are worth repeating. I think they're important. The first was that transdisciplinary work is essential, that innovation and creativity often takes place at the interstices between disciplines, and I think that's absolutely true, and we need the involvement of everyone we can bring to the table for this. Second, that innovation and entrepreneurship are crucial in all areas, not just economic, and I think that is absolutely true as well. The third, that it's more than economics, that's clearly important, that there has to be a model for rural economies to be successful, but it's certainly not all. That health, education, appropriate governance and leadership and civic engagement and culture are also critically important to a future that is vibrant and exciting and rewarding and attracts people. And then finally, deep collaboration is fundamental. Across disciplines, departments, internally, across institutions, externally. So to those four that were in the booklet, I'd add a couple more. One is that I think is important. I was here for a couple hours of the afternoon discussion yesterday, and I heard a great deal about Nebraska, and I think that's very important. This is a public university supported in Nebraska. But in my view, this has to be much bigger than Nebraska. The focus cannot just be on Nebraska, or we will miss out on a huge opportunity, I think, for leadership and for attracting talent to bring to bear to these questions. So I'm less interested in an institute that's focused only on Nebraska. Ronnie and I talked when he first got here. My interest is, if we're going to do that, let's stick with what we've got. Let's think about something much, much bigger than that. Let's think about something that addresses rural life, at least in America, and is a national institute that can be an epicenter for that discussion, for that work, but also beyond this country. We need all of the Nebraska institutions, and I'm delighted that we have community college representatives, state college representatives here, state government, NGOs. It's absolutely critical, and there's a role for everyone, I think, to play in this space, but I also think it's much bigger than that. And so today I would ask that in addition, think beyond Nebraska. And I would say to my Nebraska friends that if we're successful in doing that, if we're successful in creating a global center that is addressing some challenges that are much broader about creating a vibrant, healthy, exciting rural future across the country, around the world, Nebraska will be a tremendous beneficiary in that effort because of the talent brought to bear. Another dimension I would add, I hear a lot about, I think probably all of you do, about keeping our best and our brightest. There's probably nothing wrong with that, but it's sort of a defensive, defeatist kind of way of approaching it, I think. So I'm going to say something that I hope doesn't get me in too much trouble, but I'm not particularly interested in the notion about, at least framed that way, in keeping our best and our brightest in the rural areas. What I'm concerned about is helping be a part of creating a rural future that is so vibrant, so exciting, so rewarding, so enriching, that not only do people want to stay or come back if they grew up in Sutton, Nebraska, or Siler City, North Carolina, but that other people want to be there, that it is an attractive, exciting place that's where talent wants to locate, where people want to live and be a part of the community. Now, last night I talked to several people who, after the afternoon session, who were sort of worrying me a little bit because they said, this is massively ambitious. This is really, really big. We're pleased that you're doing this, but do you know what you're getting into? So I think it's a good question, and maybe we should think about that a little bit also. But I was visiting this morning with an architect who runs a Center for Rural Design in Minnesota, and so I thought I'd finish following up on that cautionary note about ambition by quoting an architect, although as you probably know, it's widely believed he didn't really say this, but Daniel Burnham, one of the leading architects from the Chicago School, you've all heard it, make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood and probably will not themselves be realized. So this may be ambitious, this may be big, but I'd say that's what makes it worth doing. And I am truly appreciative for all of you, my friends and colleagues from Nebraska, those of you from around the country with whom this idea resonates and who care deeply about this and have thought deeply. Thank you for being a part of this. For those of you from outside the country, thank you for bringing your ideas, your criticisms, your suggestions to this discussion. And today I'm looking forward to, as the culmination of this conference, which will help us get started and move on to the next step. So now I'm going to turn this over to Kim Peterson, who I think is going to explain what we're doing in this effort to take this to the next step and participate in this open space in a series of conversations about what Rural Futures Institute might look like. So thanks again. Thanks very much for being here. I look forward to the discussion today.